Well, this week I thought we'd venture into the 3D capabilities of Photoshop CX4 Extended a little bit more and create some billiard balls completely from scratch. And it's a very cool exercise to get a better idea of how the 3D tools work. So here I have a document. It's just got a regular green background, appropriate, I guess, since we're going to be creating billiard balls. It needs to be on a green billiard table. So I'm going to go over here into the Layers panel, create a new blank layer, and we're going to choose a blue, kind of a dark blue color here. And with that set in the foreground, I'm just going to press Option Delete, and it's going to go ahead and fill that layer in. That would be Alt Backspace on a Windows machine. Well, now what I want to do is make this a stripe ball as opposed to a solid. So I'm going to take my rectangular marquee tool. I'm just going to draw a box along the top to about around somewhere between 300 and 400 pixels. Right about there. And I'm just going to press Command Delete, and that will go ahead and fill it with white, which is set to the background swatch there. Taking that same selection, I'm going to drag it down to the bottom of my document, and I'm going to press Command Delete once again and fill that area with white. So we get the nice blue stripe going along the middle there. Well, I'm going to go ahead and create a new blank layer above that one, and we're going to go and grab our elliptical marquee tool. I'm just going to hold down the Shift key and drag out a circle. And I'm just going to press Command Delete once again, and that will fill it with white. Now, it is on its own layer, and that's because it gives me a chance to align it. I'm going to press Command or Control A, select the entire document, and just center this shape right there in the middle. We'll go and grab the text tool, and we're going to give this ball a number. So we're going to give it a 10. And we'll scale this upward a little bit. That font, I think, looks pretty good for what we're doing. And I am going to go ahead and fill that with black. So I'll just set my defaults and then press Option Delete, and we'll fill that area with black. So now I'm ready to turn this into a 3D shape. But before I do that, something I need to do, and this is a curious thing about the 3D functions inside Photoshop. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and select both the number and that white circle there. I'm going to press Command or Control T, and I'm going to hold down my Option key so it scales it to the center here. We're going to grab either one of these side handles and just push this in and squash it. Now obviously it looks squashed, and that's okay because you'll know it'll make sense in just a moment. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hold down my Shift key again and select not just the circle and the text, but also the whole stripe layer. Then we're going to go into the 3D menu and go down here to New Shape from Layer and choose Sphere. And you can see it's gone ahead and turned all those layers into a 3D object. Now if I grab my 3D manipulation tool, I can maneuver this ball around and do all kinds of cool stuff to it. So let's play with this a little bit. Well, I'm going to take my axis widget. I'm going to highlight the cube in the middle there and just scale it down a little bit. And if you click on it and drag down, it will scale the ball down. We'll go over here and open up my 3D panel. And here's where we can modify all the properties about this shape. Well, first thing is I want to take the anti-alias setting and put it on best, so those edges will be nice and soft. There we go. Obviously, we got to change up the lighting here. So I'm going to go into the light area, activate the visibility of the light so we can see where they are. And there they are there. I'm going to highlight each individual one and use the rotation tools and bring the light more to the front. There we go. And I think that looks pretty good. I could probably reposition a couple more of these. Let's put this one over here. So all we're looking is needing the lights to be, oh, I think that one was underneath. I'm going to go and leave that one there. Let's put that so we get a little bit of a light underneath there. I'm going to go over to here and click on the materials options over here, and we're going to increase the glossiness and the shininess because we know billiard balls to be really shiny, really glossy finishes on them. Take all that to 100%. You'll see, well, we can probably take that to around 90. It'll give me a flare out that glare a little bit. Well, let's make it a little bit about 80. So it looks pretty good. So we got the lights going on there. Now we need to apply a reflected texture. So again, inside that materials section, we're going to go down here to the environment section. I'm going to click on that and do load texture. And here I have a texture on my desktop that I'm going to use. And it's just a room. It's got lights in it. You know, typically you'd find a billiard table in a room or something like that. So go load that and click open. Notice what's going to do. It's going to take a minute. It's going to apply that texture to my image. Now, if I rotate the ball around, you'll see that the texture is staying put as if it were reflecting in the real room. It's probably considerably intense, so let's take the reflectivity down to about 25, and that will redraw it and make it a little less intense, allowing that color to go through. There we go. That looks better. We can go ahead and turn off the visibility of our lights and see what we've got here is a pretty realistic looking billiard ball. Now, I could continue on and creating the rest of them, or just a few of them, by simply, let's just go ahead and reposition this, maybe over here. And let's go over here and create a duplicate of that 3D object. And we'll reposition it over here. And let's grab our 3D rotation tool. And just remember, when you're working with 3D, it tends to need a little time to render it as you draw. So just be a little patient with it. All right, so we got this ball over here. Let's go ahead and change the properties about it. Inside the layers panel, I'm going to go over here and double click on this right here, and it's going to open up the original file. Here it is with all our original shapes. It's just like a smart object. So let's go ahead and make this a 9 ball. And we'll go ahead and select that bottom layer, select this color, and let's give it a color fill, a gold rather. That looks pretty good. I'm going to close this, save the changes, and it will update and give us another billiard ball. There we have it. Pretty cool stuff. And I can go ahead and scale this down so it looks like a little bit further back in space. But I think you get the idea of taking flat two-dimensional artwork, and then you can manipulate it around a 3D shape and even apply textures and reflective objects to it, or reflective surfaces, to give it a much more realistic three-dimensional look. So there you have it, creating custom realistic billiard balls all from scratch right there in Photoshop.